Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Today is Furahi Day, so for those of you who are still working, sit tight. The weekend is right around the corner. So anyway, guys, I won't stay here for long. Like I usually say, I will try to keep this short, brief, and sweet for you to get what I'm trying to say, or for me to get this point across. It's not complicated. It's not complicated science here, right? It's a very simple thing that's going on in Kenya. As you can see, the topic today is Kenyan Gen Zs are losing the battle, but not the war, okay? The war hasn't been decided yet, but the battle, definitely, the Gen Zs are losing the battle. Now, before I go on and get started, please, if this is your first time in this channel, my name is Kenyan Revolutionary. That's the name of the channel. And please, we talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of discussions, feel free to subscribe, share, like, comment if you haven't subscribed yet. But if you have subscribed yet, go ahead. You know the first order of business is to like the video, like it and share it, and put the notification on so every time I come in, you can always get the notification and you can join me. If you want to have a discussion, I can put the link and you can debate me, give your view, or just, rant if you want to rant, okay? Within reason. Now, let's get to the topic. The Kenyan Gen Zs are losing the battle, but not the war. Why am I saying that the Kenyan Gen Zs are losing the battle? Look at what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. We are faced with a finance bill, okay? This is what the government is telling us, consulting with us. Of course, the timeline for the public participation has passed. It was yesterday or the day before that, okay? But nevertheless, this is the time when the government comes and consults with the people to see if the people would agree on what they need to be taxed on. They have to get our consent, okay? So they wanted to find out about our views, but I never really saw this discussion taking place, a rigorous debate or any inquisition, any prodding on what's in the finance bill 2025-2026. Okay, I never had this discussion. It was never a big issue as it was last year. Remember, last year, the finance bill was the catalyst. It's what precipitated what went on in June 25th that almost brought down the government of William Samoei Ruto. But Ruto and his cohorts and the political class learned their lesson. They say they will never have to suffer another embarrassment or a near people's popular revolution happening to remove them. They learned their lesson and they took the measures that are supposed to be taken in order to maintain tranquility, peace, okay, and power, that they survive, okay? So I'll tell you how they did it. They're very, 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 it's the political class. It's not only Ruto. This was a concerted effort by the political class. When I talk about the political class, I'm not just talking about, the people who you see on power, like the Rutos, the Kenyatas, Uhuru. Yes, all of them are part of it. Everyone that has any kind of political interest and maintaining power so that they can continue with the status quo and, continue looting and the corrupt days. Karibu sana Shimariam. Please, guys, if you're just joining, do not waste any time. Go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Shimariam usininyime like asante sana na kuona. Karibu sana. So this is how they did it. I've been telling you guys that since last June 25th, when the political temperature was calm after the storm, after the revolutionary storm, the people's revolutionary storm threatened the very foundation of this corrupt regime and what it represents, the political class, who are still looting, okay, and using our resources to enrich themselves. Once they were threatened, they learned very quickly and took the appropriate measures. This is how the Gen Zs lost the battle this year. Number one, the Gen Zs have failed to set the agenda. They have failed to set the agenda. How is that so? The political class, remember, the political class involves the so-called fake opposition that we have, the Gachaguas of this world, the Matakarwas of this world, the Nyukalons of this world, the Railas of this world, okay, and the political parties that they represent, including Ruto and his regime. They have done this in a very calculated, meticulous way. How did they do this? Number one, they made sure that anybody and everybody that has a voice, that speaks the voice of revolution. Karibu sana Gypsy Corner. I see you. I'm happy to see you. Tafadhali nipatie like hapo. Okay? They made sure that anyone, any influential personality, whether it's a media personality, social media personality, or anyone with a big following who has a voice, when they post anything that has to do with the finance bill or Occupy Parliament or State House this time, they've made sure that that person is pacified. How do they do that? They've used several methods. They've shadow banned that person. They've interfered with how many people can actually access what they're writing, what they've posted, how many people they can reach. Okay? That's number one thing. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the battleground, the front line of this battle between Gen Zs, which represents the majority of the people of Kenya and their aspirations and their plight, okay? Their voices have been scuttled, okay? The government identified every influential person within that's promoting the Gen Z movement, okay? Talking about State House, Occupy State House or Occupy Parliament or let's have a revolution. They've been scuttled. They've been pacified. The front line of this battle is the information war. The information out there is carefully crafted to lull the population. Let me explain it to you further. I'm in the jungle. It's naturally, it's not dizzy actually. It's you know, when that person usually kind of slows my feed, that's why it looks so shaky. Those are the hackers that kind of try to control my viewership here. When they do that, it kind of looks all shaky and all dizzy and robotic. That's the, you know, it's a tactic that's been used, you know. I have a friend of mine who's a streamer, just to tell you guys why you see I seem robotic and it looks like it's dizzy and it's not clear. I had a friend of mine who's a streamer who told me that, you know, when somebody does not like if you're a streamer and they want to sabotage your stream, they kind of mess with your the speed of your connection, your internet speed. You know, they slow it down, And that's why you see it kind of, it looks dizzy, but it's not actually, I'm not being rained on or anything. That's why you see it like that. And that affects also how many people can actually join and see this live stream. So that's one of those methods that these guys use. Listen, we have them. These people, listen, they're playing checkers. I'm playing chess. This is a long-term thing. Watch out now. Let them keep on doing what they're doing, but we'll deal with them. Usijali. Hii inakuja tu pole pole. But let's get back to the topic. Let's not lose focus here. I won't be long because I don't want to stay long here because of the various things that these people are doing. But yes, right. Alicia is saying, let me show this. Alicia is saying, Kenyans are just watching these idiots called politicians, then we remove them. There is always calm before the storm. Absolutely. I like that spirit. Stick with that spirit, ladies, my friend, Alicia. Okay? So, what is happening is this. The Gen Z in 2025, we are losing the battle, which is the information war. Let me just use that, okay? In this information war. The government, listen to what they have done. If you look at the main news today, wacha niwaulize tu hivi. If you look at the main headlines today, what is the main headlines today? Gachagua ako Ukambani. Coincidentally, he's in Ukambani, and the president is in where? Homa Bay, in Nyanza province, Luo Nyanza. Now, listen to me carefully. Let me explain to you something. Remember, I told you that once Gen Z were pacified, walienda waka identify the most influential members, the people who are sticking out, wakafanya ninio, wakafanya upelelezi, to identify the people who are posting things about maandamano ya Gen Z on the internet. Wakaenda, they compromised them, either by paying them or joining the government, but they did it in a slick way. So they went and made sure they're compromised, and once they were compromised, instead of having them come out and say, hey, we are now working, overtly coming out and say that we are working with the government, they told them, nyinyi bado mjifanye tu nyinyi Gen Z, but the agenda is pretend that you are still with the Gen Z, but the goal is tell the Gen Zs that we shall take care of these politicians in 2027, the next elections, to give Ruto time, so that Ruto can buy time. You understand what I'm saying? So waliambia our Gen Z, msikuje hapa, since you've been compromised, yes, okay? Not all of them, I'm telling the top brass, the most influential ones, okay? Wakawaambia, nyinyi msijali, jifanyeni tu bado nyinyi ni Gen Z. But the agenda, just tell the Gen Z at 2027 ndio tutawatoa. We shall beat them in the battle, in the ballots. Tukienda election, that's when we shall remove Ruto. Okay? Just don't give up. Wetu endelea ujifanye we ni Gen Z, but tell the others that tuchukue ID so we can remove them through elections in 2027. Tukutane kwa ninio. Kwa debe. That is the message. That's why you see, it's not a coincidence that the paid, compromised Gen Zs, you see them that they're always talking about 2027 elections. But Gen Z never cared about elections per se. They wanted change now. They wanted the finance bill to be rejected in its entirety. They wanted Ruto to go out now. It was never about Ruto 2027. But listen to them. They are all, if you want to know that somebody is compromised, anybody who pretending to be fighting for this country, you will hear them say, and then mkachukue ID tutoe Ruto 2027 kwa debe. That is how they played it. And number two, in order for them to avoid the discussions about the finance bill 2025, 2026, okay, they are now meticulously in a well-calculated manner, upped the ante, the political temperatures, what they know best, playing the Ninio, the always, back to the default Ninio settings, yeah? Tribal politics. Remember, I want you to listen to me keenly in this, okay? Weka like up. I want you to listen to this very keenly. Nisikie vizuri. Historically speaking, and no offense to other tribes in Kenya, but historically speaking, there have always been two major tribes that are always in opposite sides of the political aisle. I'll repeat. Two major tribes, the Luos and Kikuyus, who have always been on the opposite side of the political spectrum or aisle. When the Kikuyus are in power, Luos are in the opposition. When the opposition are, the Luos are in, when the Luos are in power, Kikuyus are in the opposition. The few time that the Luos and Kikuyus have come together as one is when Kibaki was won overwhelmingly in 2002, when they were removing who? Removing Moi after 24 years of rule. Okay? Every time, I'm not saying, and I'm not demeaning any other tribe, let's say the Kambas, Luya, and whatever the case is. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that other tribes do not count. That's not what I'm saying. I want you to get what I'm saying correctly. Okay? These are things that we have to talk about because our politics have been always designed to be about tribal groupings, tribal politics, tribal mathematics, tribal calculations. But if you listen, if you study history, Kikuyus and Luos have always been on the opposite side of the political aisle. Starting from once Jomo Kenyatta and Oginga Odinga, parted ways. Of course, with the death of Tomboya, it even made it worse. Thank you so much for the super chat. Gypsy Connor is saying, Kenya Rebel, a lot of paid goons around, same as donated land by Raila and Ruto Uhuru. Let me read it. A lot of paid goons around, same as the donated land by Raila and Ruto Uhuru with his business tactics. 2, don't believe anyone. Absolutely. Yes. So what I'm saying is this. This is what I'm saying. Right now, if you remember last year, right about this time, end of May, beginning of June, the discussion was heavily about finance bill, what's in there, affordable housing, who stands to gain from it, what's its nature. That short, chubby man, fat man, remember, was struggling to explain what the affordable housing, how it was about. Why are we going to pay for it? Okay? Why will Kenya pay for affordable housing while Kenyans prefer to build their own house, Ushago, and rent while they go to town, when they go to work in town? Those are the discussions that people are having. The discussion was all about finance bill last year. It was the main topic. There was a healthy debate among the populace. Okay? So, but this year, it's a different thing. Eric the Nairobian has been right all the way. Luos, Kikuyus, where is my damn tribe? Absolutely. So, this is what I want to tell you. Once the political class were greatly threatened by the unification of majority of Kenyans, most of them being represented by the youth, the Gen Zs as they are labeled. Once they were threatened by this, the political class started all this political theatrics, gymnastics, mchezo wa town. And it started with the what? It started with the impeachment of Gachagua. Look at how calculated this thing was. Once Gen Z walipoapoa kidogo, and Nani survived, Ruto survived, alisurvive ponea chupu-chupu, Raila, who is deemed as the chieftain, tribal chieftain of the Luos, went and joined Ruto in government to rescue Ruto. That is what we are meant to believe. Okay? So once he joined Ruto, because this was a game to be played in order to divide people in tribal, in tribal groupings. So when he joined Ruto and claimed to have rescued Ruto from a military coup d'etat or a popular coup d'etat, people's what did they do? The first order, listen to me, this is why I'm telling you this thing is calculated. So once Raila Odinga joins Ruto and they went and signed that nonsense at KICC, what was the whole point of signing that thing on KICC? It was to play to the gallery, to show Kenyans that Raila is standing with Ruto, even though majority of Kenyans rejected Ruto and wanted him out. In fact, almost took him out. But, you know, images shift people's thinking. It persuaded people. So, when Raila came and organized that KICC nonsense with Ruto, the UDA, ODM memoranda, okay, wakakutana hapo, it was visually showing you, visually telling the people that Raila is now standing with an unpopular President Ruto. And Raila, knowing his position as a perceived tribal chieftain representing the Luo nation, it was assumed now that all the Luos are with this Kalenjin president. And what followed next? Rumors started leaking through the very media that Gachagua was going to be impeached. And then Gachagua, who is a Kikuyu, not really a huge factor as far as the tribal chieftain or a leader in the central province, but he had a role to play. They removed him unconstitutionally to seek so that the people can feel some type of sympathy for him. And once he was removed, Gachagua, knowing that he has a part to play in this mchezo wa town, grand scheme of things, this usarakasi ambayo inachezwa hapa na niniyo political class, Gachagua had to amp up this tribal division between Luos and Kikuyus. Gachagua made it very clear that it was the Kikuyus that were being targeted by this government, especially since this tribal Luo chieftain Raila Odinga has come and had an agreement with the Kalenjin president. So there you are. They're creating a narrative. And of course now you saw the ODM attack dogs attacking Gachagua. In fact, some of them saying bluntly that these Kikuyus are mad because now we are in government. And conversely, Gachagua did not shy away from these attacks. He also maintained and see having these interviews telling us how now they're being victimized as the members of Central Kenya. Look at how Muturi was fired. Sijui Nani was fired. There's nobody from Mount Kenya is left in Ruto's regime. The aim was to make this news and have a barrage of this tribal politics, information overload for the unsuspecting public, the gullible majority, to think that there's actually a political division between the people of Central and people of Nyanza. Because the aim is to do what? To pacify and destroy what Gen Zs built up, which was unprecedented. A Kenya that didn't care about tribe, were tribeless, partyless, and leaderless. And they have never stopped ever since. They continue with this narrative. They're continuing this narrative. That's why it is not a coincidence that today, Gachagua made sure that for the days that Ruto is going to spend in Nyanza province with his newfound buddy, who's, let me repeat this one more time. Gachagua and Ruto and Raila and others in this Mchezo town, they made sure that for the time that Ruto is going to visit Luo Nyanza with Raila Odinga, Gachagua made sure that he's going to also make headlines in order for the people to be captured, the attention, the focus of the people be captured by what they're visually seeing. As on one hand, we have Gachagua in Seikuru with Wakamba representing the people of Central, and then on the other hand, there's the Luo Nyanza with the Kalenjin president Ruto. And you shall hear the normal nonsensical political tribal nonsense, codes wallop, that will be spoken in those during that Madaraka Day event tomorrow. Already, you had Gachagua making those speeches. In fact, Gachagua nowadays, he refers to his audience as Gen Zs. Very deliberately. Because those are the people that were being targeted to make sure that they tribalize this Gen Z movement. You can even hear the people in Ninio nasema Gen Z is a Mount Kenya movement. The aim is to destroy this Gen Z movement that threatened the political class. So they have to play this usarakasi wa kisiasa. Raila and Ruto in Nyanza province, and they will be spewing their nonsense. Goja utasikia wakina nani, Wanga. Utasikia Oburu. Utasikia Wandai, their speech. And on the other hand, utasikia Gachagua. Utasikia Kalonzo, who is now pretending to be with Gachagua. Yeah, all of this week leading to up to those Ninio, up to on the 5th and 6th. Yes. Thank you, Gypsy. Thank you for the information. Thank you. So nasikia. So while Ruto is busy in Nyanza province and will be continuing with his nonsensical speech, you'll hear the ODM attack dogs attack Gachagua and call him a tribalist and call him everything under the sun. Gachagua, in response, he will be targeting Ruto, complaining of how the central people have been ostracized, marginalized deliberately by this Ruto government. Because the aim is to target the Gen Zs who believed in this idea of being tribeless, leaderless, and partyless. Something that brought Kenyans together in order to bring down the whole political rotten system of Kenya. So they have to heighten the tension, the political tension, and make it as tribal as they can make it. In fact, majority of the things will be borderline inciting of the people, if not incitement. So look out. That's why I'm saying the Gen Zs have lost this battle, because what is grabbing the headlines is not the finance bill debate or Occupy State House. What is grabbing the headlines is now the war between Gachagua and Ruto and Raila. That is what is catching the people's attention. Now, how do we counter this? Because if you look at even these social media spaces, even these channels like this one, tumekanyagiwa. Wamekuja wanafinya, wataki watu wakuja waone channel kama hii, because they're scared of the truth. They want to promote anyone that talks about all these idiots. Hawa akina sijui Raila, sijui Gachagua, Martha Karua. People who are part of the system is what they want to. Ukiangalia hizo, some channels, with the exception of a few, that's all they talk about. Nothing of how they can actually improve the lives of Kenyans or revolutionize this system. But utawaona wamewekwa hapo. So what I'm saying is this. Now that we have identified the paid compromise stooges that are pretending to be part of Gen Zs, we, the people who stand with the struggle, are not compromised. We, the people, need to network. Because the government of the day, our paid compromise, wakina sijui Morara, and all these useless channels that keep on fanning this tribal politics, and you know who they are. Yeah, they're working very hard. They'll go even 12 hours talking about nothing. Personalities, that's what they talk about. Personalities. Mtu anaingia hapo anataka kuambia, he wants to tell you how Raila is bad for 11 hours. Or how Gachagua na finger. Inject. What is it fingering? It's part of the rotten system. So what I'm calling for, because the mainstream media will not give a chance to people like Francis Gaito. The mainstream media will not give a chance for people like Migona. The mainstream media, the Githeri media, will not give a chance to people who are advocating for a total overhaul of this corrupt system. People like Kenya Revolutionary. And even Kenya Revolutionary, if he makes a video, his channel will be inakuwa attacked. Because we are speaking in isolation. Gaito ako pale, ako peke yake. Instead of supporting Gaito, promoting him, he's struggling by himself, Apple. We don't have a country here. Ako pale, anatoa video zake, he's by himself. He's not getting any aungani. Because if you look at these compromised buffoons, like Nani, Boniface Mwangi and Hanifa, and Martha Karua, you see how they meet every time and they plan how they're going to choreograph the next fake abduction. That is why they are effective. What made the Gen Zs succeed is because they were, at that time, they were speaking as one. They were meeting on these X's. Now, when discuss vile wataenda kufanya the next maandamano, and they were putting posters up. On Tuesday, tunaenda maandamano. And Tuesday, ikifika watu wanaenda CBD. Where are those posters now? What happened? Munaona vile tunachezwa? We should never enjoy their fake wars. True, most channels are compromised and paid goons. I have seen how they act, full of BS. I have followed your piece of advice, and that's why I'm here. Thank you so much, Gypsy Con. These channels are ni watu wamelipwa. And they're very tribalist. What's this, man? Hold on. So that's what I'm talking about. What's up, man? All right, man. I was just. Oh, you're going to the library?
Yeah, I'm just about to sit over here. I just wanted to let you know that so you like.
All right. Yeah. Because I was like in the middle. I was like, who's this right here? Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna move right there, so you know, I don't mess with you.
I ain't gonna mess with you neither.
All right, bro. All right, cool. Yeah. So, like I was saying, you know, so we have all these other channels that talk about, you know, they're espousing the whole what the political class wants you to believe, divide you on tribal lines. Because if you listen to what they say in their channels, all they talk about is one candidate of a certain tribe against the other leader of another tribe. Because the aim is to actually, when you're watching them, is for you to evoke emotions so that you can be like, oh, you know what? He's speaking against my tribe. What about their tribe? You know? And before you know it, you're having a difference in opinion based on the tribal affiliation instead of looking at it as one nation. Thank you, Chief Niggas. I see you. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Let me read your comment real quick. I've never understood that. Having 9, 12, and 15-hour long live streams, everybody talking about the same damn things. Oh, yeah. Because they're paid. These are people who let me not say that they're paid. They're paid, yes. They have an agenda. And their aim is to counter the voices like my voices and a few others who want to engage and raise these issues that Kenyans really care about. You understand? Ndio maana unaona hao watu, some of them, they use their skills to hack and sabotage other channels. That's what they're out for. Okay? But anyway, back to my my thesis here. What I was saying is this. The Gen Zs have lost the battle because the concentration now is on Gachagua, Raila, Ruto. Everything Gachagua says, that's the headlines. Everything that Ruto says, oh, that's the headlines. And they don't say much. We already know what they're saying. Today, Gachagua told us that his agenda is one term. How is one term going to revolutionize the lives of Kenyans? How is that going to do that? Okay, Ruto does one term, so what? Is that going to bring change? How is that going to, the rot has to be uprooted from the roots up. We cannot have these Western puppets like the British controlling our minerals, our governance, our healthcare. That's what I mean. So what I'm advocating for, very quickly as I wind up, make sure you like the video, Gypsy Corner, Chief Negus, and nice seeing you. Karibu sana, weka like hapo, sininyime like. We should not preach in isolation, so to speak. While we try to change, while we speak up for good governance, talk about, right, let me see. And Chief Nigga is saying, and on top of that, all that, allowing annoying, immature people to disrupt, troll, and insult others on their panels and comment section, and calling it upholding free speech. Absolutely. Thank you, Chief Niggas. Yes, absolutely. That's why I had to kind of, regulate the house, clean up the house, because there's some people who come and troll and, they just wanajifanya ati wanakuja kutoa point kumbe ni niyo. Yes. Thank you, Chief Negus, nakuona. The problem is not kicking out Ruto. The problem is who is going to replace him without the outside interference. Absolutely. That's why I always advocate for this. We cannot go, first of all, we cannot go to this election thinking that we are going to remove Ruto. And if we do remove Ruto, the number 2 or number 3 in that election will be an already compromised president or candidate. So the solution is to have a popular revolution. We see what's happening in West Africa. They're kicking out the French so that the Africans can have their own resources, control their food supply, control their own gold, oil, diamond. That's why Ibrahim Traore has just escaped another assassination attempt by the French. So what I'm trying to say is this, coming back to this information war with the Gen Zs, we cannot have people who are really have wonderful ideas speak in isolation, because if you are isolated, it's easy to control or pacify them. Since the mainstream media does not want to put people like Francis Gaito and Miguna, how about the Migunas and Francis Gaito and the people alike, like-minded people, network and have live streams, regular live streams, where they exchange ideas with Gen Zs, like-minded Gen Zs, so we can move back to make the issues that bedevil us as the main talking points, the headlines, not these distractions by Gachagua and Raila and Ruto and all these Western puppets. So that's my solution. If Miguna is going to watch this, or Gaito and any like-minded Gen Zs, that's how we need to do it. Let's start networking and having a regular discussions, streams, live streams, to have a discussion of how we can revitalize and make our issues the main point. Okay? That's what I'm advocating for. It's time for a serious discussion on matters that's affecting Kenya. Let those people who want to go 15 hours talking about nonsense do their thing. There's no wacha waendelee na hiyo mambo yao. As long as they don't have substance, it doesn't matter. What's the point? So anyway, guys, that's the point I want to make, is that the only way the Gen Zs can reclaim victory in this battle is to network and start again. Let's start the X spaces again. Have this discussion again. Discuss how can we change this country, have a revolution, popular revolution. People's peaceful, popular revolution. That's what I'm advocating for. But it has to start again from where we started. Last year, I mentioned, the Gen Zs had it. They were the one who were making noise. They were in the headlines, in the X spaces, and all that. But since the political class survived June 25th last year, they've bought off the influential people in that movement and tribalized the movement and gave back the attention to the Gachaguas and Raila Odingas and Rutos. No one is discussing the finance bill. No one is discussing the high cost of living. No one is discussing the abductions. No one is discussing the extrajudicial killings. No one is discussing the unconstitutional means in which this rogue government is governing. No one is discussing that. The talk is about Wamunyoro and Ruto and Raila. So how about we start networking? Those like we did, Gen Zs. Because once they've taken the influential members of the Gen Z of last year, it's time for new Gen Zs to rise and take the mantle, network, and discuss how we can have a popular revolution to remove President Ruto and his cohorts in government and the so-called fake opposition. Yes, it's time for us to get serious what we want in this country. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to stay long. Do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. Let me read this comment too. Ruto has the key to the bank. Everyone being bought. We really have a mountain to climb without the greed. Absolutely. Ruto has everything. Ruto ajali. Na bado nasikia watu wanakuambia. That's why I'm saying the people who are calling for ati tuende tukapige kura 2027. You really think you're going to beat Ruto given the money he has. Eh? Munafikiri mnaenda kutoa Ruto vile na ile pesa ako nayo? Ruto ako na pesa kama njugu. Unasikia anapatia Warrior, is giving Warrior ninio IDs. That's why I'm telling you, people are not serious. No one is serious. But the point I'm trying to impress upon you today, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, the point I'm trying to impress on you today, before you go to sleep, is that anyone and everyone who is interested in a serious discussion on how we can change this country, mnasikia, a serious, si ati mnazungumza tu yani ndio uonekane ati hata wewe pia uko kwa internet unaongea. Serious discussion on how we can change this country. People who have ideas, because everybody has an idea. No idea is silly, but a serious idea. We have to network and we have to have a serious discussion on how we can change the country. I know some might think, oh, nyinyi saa zingine nyinyi watu ambao wengine wenu ambao mko diaspora mnaongea na mko huko mbali. Let me tell you, do you know how Eritrea became a country? Do you know how Eritrea became a country? Eritrea ilikuwa country. They earned their independence, and it was the Eritreans in the diaspora who started with the discussions like this. And they networked with the ones in the ground and the ones in the diaspora. And when they came back, they took power. So I urge you to do the same. Gen Zs in the diaspora, whether you're in Australia, China, UK, US, Canada, whatever, and even the Gen Zs in Kenya, link up. Let's revitalize that discussion. Zile excess that we used to have, let's go back and start having them. Those posters needs to go back up again. It's time to campaign again for a change of a better Kenya. Let's not let Raila, Ruto, and Gachagua, and Matiang'i, and all these colonial stooges to dictate what agenda is. Let's make it. Let us determine what needs to be discussed. Si ati kila siku mtu akiingia unataka kuniambia you spend 15 hours ukianza kuniambia vile Gachagua ana inject or sijui nani ana inject and how. What is that? Don't let these fools get to you. Those of us at home really do appreciate you guys in the diaspora. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Negus. We have to network, connect Wakenya ambao wako Kenya na Wakenya ambao wako nje. Because at the end of the day, kila mtu anataka kurudi home. Kenya ni home, ama au sio? We want to have a Kenya where tuko na healthcare. Mtoto anaweza kuenda kwa shule bure, alipi kitu. Akikuwa mgonjwa anaenda kwa hospitali na anatibiwa bila kulipa. Free healthcare. It can be done. Tunataka tukifika hata sisi kutakuwa na ninio light rail system, bullet trains. Unatoka Busia mpaka Nairobi in 1 hour. From Mombasa to Narok, 1 hour. We want to have level 1 hospitals, trauma centers, better roads to avoid easy majali during Christmas, sijui nini. Better infrastructure. We want industries, factories is quite built. Energy, let's build on our energy. We can have more energy. Eh? Industries, let's revitalize our ninio. Hizi Trans Nzoia sugar hizi nini, tutoe huyu muindianaji rafiki ya Ruto hapo, sijui Rai, sijui whatever his name is. Nationalize it. Na hii mambo ya sijui PPP tuache. Nationalize everything. This whole idea that people talk about ati sijui ati you need the private sector is more efficient than the government. That is a lie. The government can be efficient. Nationalize our ninio. Easy mining places that nania na mine vitu huko. Hao watu wana mine vitu huko Tsavo National Park. Nationalize it. Na wazungu wana mine wanatoa vitu hizo maninio watoke warudi huko kwao. We can have a country that we want, that we like, that we enjoy being, that's safe, clean water. Hakuna mtoto anafaa kufa ati anakufia njaa. No. No child should be going home hungry ati anakufa because they didn't have money. Huh? Our borders should be safe. Si Al-Shabaab wanapita tu hapo na hao mashifta wanakuja wanachapa watu bunduki and they go where Mombasa watu wanachapa watu panga hapa alafu wanakimbia. No, nothing is being happened. It's done to them. What the hell are they injecting? It's real life for all, not just for the rich. Absolutely. So these are the discussions that people must have. And we were having it. Last year, we were having these discussions of X. This year, there's no discussions. Hakuna mambo ya kwenda maandamano. Kwa nini? What stopped? This year, tunaongea tu mambo ya Gachagua na Raila. Ruto. One term. What is one term? What kind of this stupidity is that one term, mara two term, one term? Hata mimi nimechoka na hii Ruto must go. It's time to... Knowledge without action is useless. Somebody say that. Kusema tu Ruto must go does not mean anything. In fact, hata Ruto akisikia Ruto must go, he is very happy. Anafikiri mnamshangilia. It's time to actually make him go. And that requires action. Na mwaka huu, we shall vet people. Wakina Marara, Kasmuel, let them stay on that side. Wasikuja kujifanya ati hao pia wana criticize government na wako kwa serikali already. Ati inject. That is what I'm talking about. Seriousness. Na watu warudi kwa ninio maandamano. A total overhaul of the system. So that's what I'm saying. That is how we are going to work. Because listen, go to my ex Ninio page, Twitter. There's a speech by Obama. He said something very simple and is very true. Alisema, this is how important the information war is. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but listen to me. This is what I'm saying. And this is why I want to highlight how important this information war is. If you win the information war, okay, these leaders will lose their legitimacy. They have already lost their legitimacy. Very soon after they lose their legitimacy, people will lose their confidence in the institutions that we have in this country. People will not have confidence in the judicial system. People will not have confidence in the legislative body. People don't have confidence in the executive branch of government. They do not. And once that happens, you know what happens next. People go to the streets and remove these clowns. the whole system, they'll wash it out because they've lost system in the institutions that are supposed to uphold and safeguard and protect the Constitution that in turn guarantees our rights as citizens of Kenya. So if these institutions have lost their influence, have lost their legitimacy, then it's time to remove them. But in the Kenyan case, the reason why they have some semblance of relevance is simply because they know they have lost the legitimacy. They know that. Okay? They know they've lost their legitimacy. So what they're left with is to appeal to your tribal affiliation, saying that unajua wewe kama Mjaluo, you've been out of government. And Ruto has given you a chance to be in the government. You see, he has put Raila there. So support Ruto. Okay? And on the other hand, you have a Gachagua who is also doing the same, appealing to your Ninio. You are a tribal Ninio. Sensibility, for lack of a better term. Anasema, you know, as a Kikuyu, we are now being targeted. We have been removed from the government. You see, people are turning against us. Our business are being targeted. Umeona hata wamenitoa mimi Gachagua, the deputy president. Wameweka yule kakijana kamdogo. They are doing this because they know they are all illegitimate. They've lost legitimacy. They do not have anything to offer Kenyans. So they're left with playing this tribal politics because that's the only way they can survive and maintain that power. So, for those unsuspecting people, wanasikia kweli enyewe kweli wameona wamekutoa kwa njia ya uhalali. Wale wajaruo ndio shida. Wale wajaruo. Huyo Raila. And the Luos are like, hey, you see, Okuyu ndio seda. To divide you because your mind knows that these people are illegitimate. They've lost legitimacy. They are useless. Raila is useless. Ruto is useless. Karua is useless. Gachagua is useless. But in your ninio, in your heart, unasema kweli yenyewe, sisi kama Wajaruo, let's just maintain, because enyewe, you see that? But if you think clearly and see and ask yourselves, these people have been in power since this independence, so-called independence, and they have never brought any tangible, verifiable economic change. They've never fought for our rights. They just make noise during electioneering years. They tell us to fight each other. But the roads are still new. Nairobi is still dirty, and they're still corrupt, and they're still making themselves richer every year. For how long shall this continue? These are the questions that you should ask yourselves. Not screaming one term. You can say one term till the cows come home. Nothing will change. You have to have critical thinking. And not only think, act. Network. Let us ask those who speak about the real issues, who are advocating for a total overhaul of this politically corrupt system that have usurped the constitution of Kenya. Bring it down by ideas and action. We know what needs to be done. Let us make ourselves, not ourselves, but our ideas, be the main agenda. Si mtu kusimama hapo mnatuambia one term. I heard Gachagua today say ati wanasema hatuna agenda yetu ni one term. So you think Ruto being one term is enough to change Kenya? That is what I mean. Regardless of what these Martha Karua hackers try to stop, we shall not stop. We shall fight until we see victory. So let us to network. Real revolutionaries. Network. Kenya must be free. It must be free. It must be free. It must. Sio tafadhali, it must. We shall defeat tribalism. We shall defeat all this briefcase political parties that none other than political outfits. And we shall defeat these tribal chieftains that are pretending to be leaders. They're supposed to be our representatives, our servants. It's been 1 hour, ladies and gentlemen. I've been ranting. Gypsy Corner, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for your contribution. Chief Negus, thank you so much for your contribution in the chat. Elisha Okinyo, thank you so much for being part of this too, also for your comments. Shi Mariam Kama Kawaida. Kamakawa, thank you so much. I'll leave it here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, share, comment. Okay, and if you're going to watch it on repeat, do the same. Thank you so much, Chief Negus. I'll see you guys later. Be safe and enjoy your weekend. Champions League this weekend, eh? Inter Milan versus PSG. I'll go for Nessazzurri. Forza Nessazzurri, Inter Milan. So PSG, good luck. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. I'll see you later. Ama namna gani? Peace and blessings.